It's tiny, powerful, and kind of sexy, and we're going to give one away, the Mini Volt. Welcome to the Vapor Trail channel. I'm Tony. Council of Vapor makes really nice products. I would even say high-end while keeping them affordable, which is very nice. Well known for their Royal Hunter and Royal Hunter Mini RDAs, as well as the Vengeance tank and some nice mech mods and stuff. They really make some good stuff. I've done reviews on both the Royal Hunter Mini and the Vengeance tank, and if you haven't seen those, I highly recommend you watch those videos. I like both of those products quite a bit. When I talked to them in California at the Vape Nights Expo, they told me, well, listen, we've got a couple of box mods that we're working on, and they should be coming out real soon. So this is the first time they've ever had a box mod, and this is almost like, it's more like a Tic Tac box mod. This thing is tiny, tiny, tiny. It's really hard to grasp how small this thing is until you see it in person, because I'd seen it on videos and on websites and stuff and was like, okay. But you know, on my Instagram, I put a quarter next to it and you can really tell the size of this thing. It's tiny. But that also comes at the expense of battery power. So it's only 1300 mAh, that's milliamp hours. So it's not going to be something that's going to last you all day. But to mitigate that though, it is a sub-ohm tank that's on here. It's kind of the mini version of the Vengeance tank with top fill. They give you two coils in the package. One of them's in the tank, one's in the package. They're 0.8 ohms, so a little bit higher. They're not, 0.5 ohms, but they are still sub-ohm. Still give you great flavor and vapor production. I've taken it out with me for a night on the town, and it lasted me all night, and people outside were like, dude, what is that little thing? It's so cute. And it really is kind of hard to describe it without saying it's cute. My wife was like, that is the cutest little mod. It may not be the mod that you want as your only setup. It's probably going to be something you want to add to your collection, something you're like, oh, I gotta have that. Perhaps ladies would like it for their purse. You can stick it right in your pocket right there, and it's completely in your pocket. So it's great for those times when you need a stealthy little mod, but you still want that power. You still want to get a nice good hit. So I think Council of Vapor's done a really good job with this. They have a couple of other box mods that are coming out very soon, and this is the first of the box mods that they've come out with, and man, I have been digging this thing quite a bit. And you can too, because I'm going to give this one away. It's still in its box, still sealed up and all that stuff. So that could be yours. All you have to do is fill out the Google form here at the top of the description. All the information, like when it's going to be given away and all that, is in the description. So I always get comments like, what's the giveaway date? I'm like, read the Google form. I guess I meant to say that all the information is in the Google form. So just read it and you'll be fine. Let's go ahead and dig in and check it out. Like we often do before we get into the hardware, the juice that I'm using today is I Love Cookies. This is from Mad Hatter. I have a full review for this one on the channel. They've only got two flavors, this company. I Love Donuts and I Love Cookies. Some people are telling me, well, I don't know, I don't really get any cookie out of that. Well, to me, it's got that bakery flavor, and man, I enjoy it quite a bit. And that's what I chose to put inside the Mini Volt when I first got it, which says a lot, because you know how it is. You first get these things and you're like, what do I want to put in here? Because you know that the coil is going to have that juice in it. So I don't always do this because, I like to keep these videos short, and sometimes doing all these size comparisons just gets a little bit tedious. But that is the mod, and look how small that is in the hand. I mean, it's barely, it hides in the palm of your hand. Just to give you a comparison, a lot of people know what the eVic VTC Mini looks like, and that is it next to it. I mean, look at that. I mean, it's dwarfed by the thing. They're about the same thickness, but definitely not the same height. I mean, look at that. That is just whoop. I mean, it's tiny, tiny, tiny. The display is on the top on this one. To give you another example, because somebody on Instagram said, hey, that looks like the IPVD3. Yeah, no. I mean, I could kind of see some similarities, but it really doesn't look like it. And another size comparison real quickly, this is the Vengeance tank, which I'm a big fan of. I love this tank. It's also Council of Vapor. And this is the tank that comes with this. So it's kind of like a Vengeance Mini, because this is a 22 millimeter. This is a 20 millimeter. And it's definitely smaller. And you see these red rings at the top. It's top fill now. So that's actually an improvement upon this one. But I still love the Vengeance. I tell you what, if you haven't tried one of these, great tank. Let me show you what's inside of the box. Obviously, I've got all the manuals and stuff up on top. They're underneath the little paper thing that's in there. So yeah, we'll open up the box. And underneath this paper thing, as you often see with Council Vapor stuff, you actually do get a USB cable here, so that's nice, making sure that you have a matched USB cable for your device, and then an extra coil, and both of the coils that come with this are 0.8 ohms. Look how many juice holes are in this though. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's probably 6 of them all the way around that. But it's an organic cotton coil, and it's a hardy coil. For 0.8 ohms, man, you get a lot of vapor and flavor out of this thing. Also inside, you're gonna get an extra glass and some extra O-rings. So that's always handy to have. This little thing pulls out, and underneath there are your manuals. You've got one for the mini volt atomizer. I guess that's what they're calling it. I think it's kind of like a mini Vengeance tank, but it is the mini volt atomizer. It's a quick start guide. Nice big words. I don't need reading glasses to read it. I like that. And we'll show you how it all works here in a second, but nice big pictures depicting how everything is supposed to go. Then you've got the manual for the mod itself. Your mini volt mod tells you what's inside the package. Got really easy to read and clear instructions on what the buttons and functions are. Now it says in here down at the bottom, short circuit or low resistance warning, that the mini volt box mod is capable of firing atomizers of 0.8 ohm and above. But I also read up on this, and it will actually fire down to 0.2 ohm. The coil that's inside this is a 0.8 ohm and it fires just fine. But I did try some other atomizers down to 0.2 ohms and they fire just fine. But remember, this battery is only 1300 mAh, so milliamp hours. That means that if you are going to be firing at 0.2 ohms and cranking that watts up to 40, it's really not going to last very long. So that's why they paired it up the way that they did. Well, let's take a closer look at the tank itself. This is the bottom of the base, and as you would expect from Coucnil Vapor, it's nicely etched down here and just high quality stuff all the way around. The bottom of it comes off just like this. Just like you'd expect with a tank. Now you could fill it this way, but you're not going to get it very full because it's only going to be able to go to the top of that little thing, which is kind of the problem with the Vengeance tank. Because when I use this tank, you know, it can only fill it down to that little part right there, and there's juice that's down in here. So, you know, you couldn't fill the tank all the way. Even when you filled it all the way there, it would be like about right there. But they remedied that on this tank by making it top fill. So you got your coil in here. This coil is wet because I've been using it. I just cleaned the tank out so that we could show it to you. Inside of the base right there, you put that on here. And you see that the coil says 0.8 ohms right there on it. Then you see that there's threads inside the chimney there. This glass does come off. It's a bit of a pain to get off there because those O-rings hold onto it very snugly, which is a good thing. So I'm not going to bother taking it off there right now. It's easy to clean it without taking it off. But you do get that replacement glass in there, so you know that you can replace it if you need to. Then this all just goes back on there, just like that. Make it nice and snug. You never want to really wrench these things on and torque them on. Just get them nice and thumb tight. You've got airflow on the bottom. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 airflow holes. You can close them all the way or open them all the way. It does have a stop at either end of the spectrum. You got your drip tip or drip top up here. Now, you cannot stick your own drip tips on this, much like with the Vengeance tank, but with these kind of tanks, I prefer to just use them the way that they are. It has spit back protection inside there with that metal grate in there, so that's cool. This little rubber ring that's around the outside, just like on the Vengeance tank, you can pull that out. Then these little holes down here will act as extra airflow on the top. Personally, I just leave that in there. Then to fill it, you just unscrew this. Comes right open like that. Haven't had any problems with this tank leaking or anything else, and it has just been performing awesomely. It's just that easy to fill, and we've got this thing filled pretty much all the way to the top. I always like to leave a little gap in there. And there we go. Now this tank only holds 2 ml of liquid, but it is tiny, and that should be expected from something that's a tiny little stealth thing. Plus, at 0.8 ohms and not cranking the watts too high, you're really not going through the juice as bad as you are in some of the other ones. Taking a look at the mod real quick, we do have a spring-loaded pin in there. We have standard 510 connection here. That's your display right here on the top of it. Over here on the side, you got like a little thumb grippy thing there, and COV for Council of Vapor. This is a rubberized finish, kind of like the Sigali 150 watt. And then you've got carbon fiber over here. So the thing is, this won't get cold and it won't get hot. And it's really grippy. It's easy to hold and does not slip out of your hand. So that is really nice. You got 3 buttons. You got your power button, your up and down or plus and minus. Down here at the bottom, you have your USB port. It would be kind of nice to have had it here on the side so you could set it down to charge it, but it really hasn't been a problem. I mean, to get everything squeezed into this little size, that's probably what they had to do. As far as battery venting, there's a little tiny hole right there, and I think that's probably part of the battery venting, plus it's going to vent out of the USB port as well if it needs to vent. To turn it on, it's 5 clicks. You got Council of Vapor coming up there. And then that's your display. You got your battery at the top, your ohms there. This little power thing I'll explain in a second, and your wattage is right there. Now, while this thing is simple, it's good to know a couple of things, because if you just try to push the up and down buttons, nothing happens. But if you hold the power button and the up button, then you'll see that the wattage starts to blink, and then that's where you can adjust it. All right, so you can adjust it up to 40 watts. We don't have to go all the way. You know what 40 watts looks like. I've been running this thing around 28 to 30 watts. Of course, it goes in 0.1 increments, and if you hold it down, then it'll go faster. Once you get where you want it to go, you can either let it sit and it'll stop flashing and then you know it's set, or you can hit the power button and that will stop it as well. Now, the little thing that says power right there, that is for ramp up. So if you want it to be normal, if you don't want any kind of extra burst to ramp it up, or if you want a slower ramp up, then you can change that. All you have to do is hold the power button again and the down button, and then that starts to flash, and you can either switch it to standard, which is, like how it normally is, or you can go to soft, which makes a soft ramp up to your actual wattage, or power, which gives it a burst, a 0.4 burst to get it right up to that wattage and give you maximum power right off the bat. So before we put that tank on here, I want to put the Vengeance on here so you can see, even with a 22 millimeter tank, there's no overhang and it looks really good on here. And I also wanted to show you that the ohms on this is coming out at 0.25. And it does fire that. So it will fire below 0.8, but they're telling you 0.8 ohms because that's how they really envision this thing being used. It's kind of tuned to be 0.8 ohms so that you don't use up your battery so much. You don't have to crank your watts so high, and it works great. So this is coming out at 0.85 ohms. It takes 3 hours for this thing to charge when you plug it in, so it's really not that long of a charge up time. And 1300 mAh, it's done respectably. I think my only problem with this thing is that it does go into sleep mode after 10 seconds, but it goes into super sleep mode and actually turns itself off after about 5 to 10 minutes. So, every time I pick it up that's been sitting there for a while, I got to turn it back on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is not that big of a deal. I mean, first world problems, right? But, I think that's going to be something that people might key in on. And for me, I just want to pick it up and use it. Other than that, it's quite a fantastic little device. I mean, look at that. In the hand, it's awesome. So that is the mini volt kit from Council of Vapor. Now, I have seen the mod only going for about $35 if you just buy the mod, and I've seen the mod and the tank as a kit for like $45. So, I mean, that seems like a no-brainer. Why not get the tank? It's actually matched to it. And I love the Vengeance tank, so I knew I was going to like this one. It's basically a mini Vengeance with top fill. Like I said, I used this thing for going out on the town, and it did a good job of lasting all night. I definitely had to get another mod or plug it in to charge it when I got home from going out. And as a casual carry, especially when I'm going out to do errands and stuff like that, it is perfect. So if you need something that's stealthy, that's small, you can stash it in your purse or in your pocket or something, this is definitely a nice little kit. But again, I don't know that this is going to be perfect for somebody who is buying their only vape setup. This probably isn't the best one for just that. All right, so I've got this on 25 watts and I've got it on power mode on the ramp up thing here. So let's go ahead and get a vape at that. Excellent vapor production. Of course, I'm using the I Love Cookies juice, and it just tastes fantastic out of this thing. The coils are very similar to what's in the Vengeance tank, so if you've tried that and you liked it, you're going to like this. Yeah, works great. So there we go. I mean, there's not a whole lot to show on this thing, except for it's tiny, it's sexy, it's powerful, and one of these could be yours. Just fill out the Google form that's right at the top of the description right here. And, well, like I say, all the information you need about when the drawing is and stuff is on there. Thanks again to Leanne, Annie, and the rest of the people over at Council of Vapor for hooking us up and making sure that we have one to give away. Appreciate that. Really looking forward to what the other box mods that they're going to come out are going to be all about. This is not a temp control device. It's just about wattage. It's just about simplicity, and it's quite nice. Quick reminder, go to notblowingsmoke.org and CASAD.org, and they'll lead you to all the other sources that you'll need and the tools that you'll need to help us fight for our rights to vape. Thanks again for watching, and we'll catch you next time on the Vapor Trail channel.